Jack's spacecraft shuddered violently as it breached the atmosphere of the uncharted planet. Warning alarms blared, echoing through the cramped cockpit. The console flickered sporadically, casting an eerie glow on his determined face. Stabilizers at 15% efficiency, the onboard AI, named Theo, reported in a calm, mechanical voice. Hull integrity compromised. Recommend immediate evacuation upon landing. Jack gripped the control yoke tighter, his knuckles turning white. Just get me somewhere flat, Theo. I can handle the rest, he responded, his voice a mix of tension and focus. The southern quadrant has an expansive plain, 3.2 kilometers due west. Adjusting course, Theo replied, executing the commands with robotic precision. As the ship descended through the dense, emerald clouds, a vast jungle canopy came into view, sprawling as far as the eye could see. Suddenly, a clearing appeared on the horizon. Jack adjusted the thrusters, aiming for the open area. Brace for impact, Theo warned, as the ship plummeted toward the ground. With a deafening crash, the spacecraft tore through the upper foliage before slamming into the forest floor. The hull groaned under the stress, and a cloud of dust and debris rose around the wreckage. Coughing, Jack unfastened his harness and grabbed his emergency pack. He initiated the evacuation protocol, and the cockpit door hissed open, revealing the lush alien landscape. Stay with the ship, Theo. Initiate distress signal, and keep scanning for any local life forms, Jack ordered as he stepped out, scanning the surroundings with cautious eyes. Understood, Jack. Be careful. I am detecting movement around us, several life forms, approximately 300 meters north. Jack nodded, adjusting the blaster at his side and making his way toward the treeline. The planet was alive with strange sounds, from the chirping of unseen creatures to the rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. His heart raced with a mix of fear and excitement. This was uncharted territory in every sense. As he approached the trees, a figure stepped out, tall and imposing. The man was dressed in a suit similar to Jack's, though his was marked with the insignia of a different exploration company. He raised his hand in a cautious greeting. Name's Marcus. Didn't expect to find another soul this far out in the void, the stranger called out, his voice carrying a friendly tone. Jack lowered his blaster slightly, but kept his guard up. Jack, my landing wasn't exactly planned. You crashed too. Marcus chuckled, stepping closer. Something like that. Been here a couple of days. There's a village nearby. Alien folks. Nothing like I've ever seen. They helped me out. Seems we're on their hunting ground. Alien village? Are they friendly? Jack asked, curiosity piqued despite the situation. So far, yes, but very protective of their land. We should probably introduce you properly. Might help with the ship later. Jack considered this. Alone, he had little chance of survival, let alone repairing his ship without local knowledge. Lead the way then, Marcus, and let's hope they're as welcoming to me as they were to you. Together, they walked towards the alien village, treading carefully through the dense underbrush. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the forest floor and marking the beginning of what was sure to be an extraordinary encounter. Jack and Marcus trudged through the dense undergrowth, making their way toward the alien village that Marcus mentioned. As they moved, the forest seemed to watch them, full of hidden eyes and whispers carried on the wind. So, these aliens, Jack started, breaking the silence between the crunch of leaves underfoot. What should I expect? They're called the Nari, Marcus explained, pushing a low-hanging branch out of their path. Tall, nimble, and quick. Their skin shimmers like the surface of a pond at sunrise, various shades of blue and green. They communicate with a mix of sounds and gestures that took me a while to get a grip on. Jack nodded, absorbing every detail. And you said they were hunters? The best I've ever seen, Marcus confirmed. They use the environment to their advantage, blending into the shadows like ghosts. It was one of them who found me, actually. I was a bit more banged up than you when I landed. As they spoke, the foliage began to thin, and the distant sound of a bustling community grew clearer. They approached the edge of the village, marked by intricately carved totems that depicted various creatures and celestial patterns. Before they could step into the open, Marcus held out an arm to stop Jack. "Wait here. Let me talk to them first." Marcus approached the village alone, and Jack watched as figures emerged from between the dwellings. They were just as Marcus had described, their lithe bodies moving with an almost fluid grace. After a few moments of discussion, Marcus waved Jack over. As he entered the village, the Nari's eyes fell on him, their gazes curious and intense. A tall figure detached from the group and approached, her presence commanding yet serene. "This is Lyra, their leader," Marcus introduced as Jack came to a stop beside him. Lyra studied Jack with an unreadable expression before speaking in halting English. "You come broken sky, like Marcus?" "Yes, my ship crashed not far from here," Jack replied, finding her English surprising. "I'm hoping to make repairs." Lyra nodded slowly, then turned and spoke rapidly in her native tongue to the others, who responded with various gestures and soft clicks. Then she looked back at Jack. "We help, but first we understand each other. You stay, learn ways." Jack glanced at Marcus, who gave a reassuring nod. "I'd appreciate your help," Jack said to Lyra. "And I'm willing to learn." Lyra smiled, a small upturn of her lips that seemed to light her features. "Good. Tonight we feast. You join, see, hunt, understand Nari." As the sun began to set, the village burst into activity. Young Nari dashed about, preparing for what Jack assumed was the feast. Lyra gestured for them to follow her to a large central area where fires were being lit. Marcus leaned over to whisper, "The hunt's more of a demonstration for us. They want to show their skills, make us feel a part of the community." The aroma of cooking food filled the air, and Jack's stomach rumbled in response. As they were seated on low stools, young Nari brought out dishes made with unfamiliar ingredients, their colors vibrant and textures varied. Throughout the meal, Lyra explained different aspects of their culture and the upcoming demonstration. "We hunt not just for food, but to connect with the land, to prove ourselves worthy of its gifts." After they had eaten, the Nari gathered around, forming a circle with Jack and Marcus included. Torches were lit, casting flickering light over the scene. With a nod from Lyra, the hunt began. Nari hunters moved through a designated area of the forest with astonishing speed and precision, their movements a dance between shadow and light. They used handmade spears and nets, working in tandem to trap a swift-moving creature that resembled a large rodent. Jack watched in awe, impressed by their coordination and grace. "Incredible," he murmured. "Yes," Lyra said, standing beside him. "We live by the bond of the pack. Tonight you are part of that pack." As the demonstration ended, the villagers cheered, and the creature was released back into the forest, a sign of respect and balance with nature. Jack felt a stirring of admiration and a burgeoning sense of belonging. Tonight, under the alien stars, he was no longer just a stranded human. He was part of something larger. The next morning, Jack awoke to the sounds of the Nari village stirring to life. The events of the previous night still lingered in his mind. The hunt, the feast, and the acceptance into the Nari community. He stepped out of the guest dwelling that he shared with Marcus, greeted by the cool air of dawn. Marcus was already outside, speaking with a couple of young Nari men who were demonstrating the use of a tool that looked like a combination of a hammer and an axe. "Morning, Jack," Marcus called over, waving him to join. "Come see what I've learned about Nari tools." Jack approached, curious. "Morning. What's that you've got there?" "This," one of the Nari men started, his English accented but clear, "is called a tark. It's used for building and hunting, very versatile." Jack took the tool, examining it. "Feels balanced," he noted, turning it in his hand. The Nari man smiled, pleased with the approval. "Yes, it's designed for efficiency. Let me show you," the Nari continued, leading them towards a large, fallen tree trunk. He demonstrated with fluid motions how to strip bark and split the wood. "We teach, you try?" Marcus nodded, taking the tark and mimicking the movements with some guidance. After a few tries, he managed a decent strip of bark. "Not as easy as it looks," he laughed, handing the tool to Jack. With a few pointers, Jack took his turn. The physicality of the task was familiar, reminiscent of his early years on Earth helping his father in the shop. It was comforting, grounding even, and as he worked, more villagers gathered, watching and offering tips. After the demonstration, Lyra approached, her presence commanding yet gentle. "Jack, you adapt well. Today, more learning. You come with me?" Jack wiped his brow, handing back the tark. "Lead the way, Lyra." They walked to the edge of the village, where the forest grew dense and wild. Lyra spoke as they walked. "Nari live with land, not just on land. We listen, we respect, and it provides." Jack listened intently, finding her philosophy different from the exploitation he'd often seen. "And the land always provides enough?" "Always. When Nari take, we give back. Balance," she explained, stopping to touch a flowering plant. "This, for instance, heals cuts." Fascinated, Jack touched the petals, soft and cool under his fingers. "You really know every part of this place, don't you?" Lyra smiled, a hint of pride in her expression. "As leader, my duty. But all Nari learned from young age." Their walk continued deeper into the woods, Lyra pointing out various plants and their uses. Jack was amazed by how integrated their lives were with the environment. It wasn't just survival, it was a relationship. They reached a clearing where a few other Nari were gathering various plants. Lyra introduced Jack, and they welcomed him warmly. "You want to try some gathering?" one of the Nari men asked, offering a small, sharp tool similar to a pruning knife. "Sure," Jack said, eager to get hands-on with everything he could learn. As he worked alongside the Nari, Jack felt a growing sense of camaraderie. They moved through the forest, chatting and laughing, the language barriers slowly dissolving in the face of shared tasks and mutual respect. As the sun reached its peak, they returned to the village with their bounty. Lyra regarded Jack with something like respect. "You learned fast." "Good." Jack grinned, wiping the sweat from his forehead. Thanks to good teachers, Marcus joined them, having spent the morning learning more about Nari crafts. "Looks like you've been busy," he remarked, looking over the gathered plants. "Trying to keep up with you," Jack replied, and they shared a laugh. The bond between them strengthened not just by survival now, but by genuine friendship. Lyra watched them, her expression thoughtful. "Tonight we speak of sky, of stars. You join. Share your stories of Earth sky." "Wouldn't miss it," Jack confirmed, looking forward to more shared moments, feeling more a part of this world with every passing hour. The evening brought a cool breeze that rustled through the leaves of the Nari village, carrying with it the scent of the alien forest. Jack and Marcus found themselves seated around a large fire pit with Lyra and several elders of the Nari. Above them, the night sky was a tapestry of unfamiliar constellations that Jack was eager to learn about. Lyra gestured to the sky, her face illuminated by the flickering firelight. "Our ancestors navigated by these stars," she began, tracing patterns in the air. "Tell us, Jack, what stories do your stars tell?" Jack took a deep breath, his gaze lifting to the heavens. "Back on Earth, our constellations have many tales. We have hunters, queens, and creatures great and small, each with their own story." He pointed to a cluster of stars that resembled his home constellation of Orion. "That one that looks like what we call Orion, the hunter. He's a warrior with a belt and a sword, chasing the beasts of the sky." The Nari listened intently, their eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and wonder. One of the elders, an older male with intricate tattoos marking his face, leaned forward. "And these beasts, they live among the stars?" "Yes, in a way," Jack explained. "They're stories to teach lessons or explain the natural world. Orion fights Taurus, the bull, which represents the coming of spring." Marcus chimed in, his voice warm in the cool night. "There's also stories of great bravery and tragedy, like the tale of Scorpius, the scorpion sent to defeat Orion." A younger Nari male, his skin a bright shade of turquoise, frowned slightly. "Your sky sounds troubled. Beasts and battles." Jack nodded, sensing the shift in tone. "It does seem that way, but each story has its balance. Victory and loss, peace and strife. It's how we remember that life is a cycle of both." Lyra considered this, then spoke. "Our stories are different. Our stars are guides, not warriors. They lead us through seasons and tell when to plant and when to harvest. The misunderstanding seemed to linger as the Nari contemplated the stark differences in their celestial interpretations. Jack sought to bridge the gap, leaning forward slightly. Maybe tomorrow, you could show us how you use the stars in your daily life? We have much to learn from you. The suggestion seemed to ease the tension, and Lyra nodded with approval. Yes, we will show you the star path tomorrow night. It is time for the young ones to learn as well. As the evening progressed, the group shared more tales, slowly weaving a thread of mutual understanding and respect. The Nari shared stories of the sky's role in their navigation and agriculture, revealing a deep connection to their environment that Jack found both fascinating and enlightening. Later, as the fire died down to embers, Marcus and Jack walked back to their dwelling. They really live by the stars, Marcus remarked thoughtfully. It's not just navigation, it's a way of life. Yeah, Jack agreed, looking back at the flickering lights of the village. There's a rhythm here, a harmony that's new to me. Tomorrow should be interesting. Definitely, Marcus said as they reached their door. Learning their star path might just be the first step in truly understanding the Nari. As they settled in for the night, the sky outside their window was a canvas of alien stars, each one a story yet to be told, promising new insights and perhaps, in time, new legends of their own. The following day brought a calm clarity to the Nari village. Jack and Marcus awoke early, eager to immerse themselves further into the Nari way of life, especially their unique relationship with the stars. After a light breakfast shared with some of the villagers, Lyra approached them. Today, good for learning star path, Lyra announced, her eyes reflecting the morning light. We go to high place, see sky clear? Jack and Marcus nodded in agreement, following Lyra and a few other Nari through the village and up a winding path that led to a hill overlooking the forest. The climb was gentle but constant, and as they ascended, the forest canopy spread out below them like a sea of green. As they reached the summit, the air grew cooler, and the view of the sky was unhindered by the towering trees below. Lyra pointed upwards. Here, we see paths. At night, stars bright, show way. Marcus pulled out a small notebook, ready to jot down anything they learned. How do you use these paths for planting? He asked, genuinely intrigued. Lyra sat down on a large rock, gesturing for them to join her. Stars move in patterns, yes? Same patterns every year. When certain stars in place, time to plant. When moved back, time to harvest. That's very practical, Jack remarked, sitting beside her. We use calendars, but reading the stars directly must create a deep bond with the land. Yes, land and sky is one, Lyra agreed, her gaze thoughtful. Tonight, when dark, you see. They spent the rest of the day at the summit, Lyra explaining more about the Nari's agricultural methods and how they timed their other activities according to the celestial movements. The conversation was rich with exchange, and Jack found himself more connected to the rhythms of this new world. As the sun began to set, they made their way back down to the village to prepare for the evening star viewing. After dinner, the whole village gathered at the summit again, now transformed with lit torches and a palpable sense of anticipation. Lyra handed Jack and Marcus each a small, handcrafted tool, similar to a sextant. This for follow stars, she explained. You try? With Lyra's guidance, Jack peered through the device, aligning it with the stars as she instructed. The stars clicked into a new kind of focus, and he felt a thrill of understanding how the Nari navigated not just their world, but their lives through these celestial signs. Marcus, too, was deeply engaged, comparing the star positions with those he knew from Earth and finding parallels that amazed him. It's universal, isn't it? He mused aloud. The stars guiding us, no matter where we are in the universe. Yes, Lyra smiled, pleased with their progress. Stars same for all, but different stories to tell. The evening stretched on, with more members of the Nari sharing their own experiences and teachings about the stars. The group's camaraderie deepened, bound by the shared light of distant suns. Before they knew it, the night had deepened to the darkest hours, and the stars shone at their brightest. Jack looked around at the gathered Nari and his fellow human, feeling a profound sense of peace. Lyra stood beside him, her voice soft but clear in the quiet night. You see now how Nari live with stars? Jack nodded, more understanding and appreciative than he could express. I see, and it's beautiful. You've taught us more than just your paths. You've shown us a new way to view our place in the universe. The night ended with a quiet walk back to the village. The sky overhead a silent, watchful guardian. As they descended, Jack felt a subtle shift within himself, a new alignment with the world around him, echoing the harmony of the Nari with the universe. The next morning, Jack and Marcus were up early, ready to help the Nari with their daily tasks. They'd been embraced by the village, and the bond with its people was growing stronger each day. But today, something felt different. As they stepped out of their shared hut, a sense of quiet unease filled the air. Lyra approached them with a contemplative expression, glancing between Jack and Marcus. "We need to speak," she said, her tone serious. "Strange happenings have come to our village." Jack and Marcus exchanged a puzzled look, but followed her to a secluded spot near the village's edge. "What's going on, Lyra?" Marcus asked, concern evident in his voice. Lyra took a deep breath, her gaze intense. "Some of our women have felt a change. It started after the night we shared the star path. They feel as if they are preparing for something, like the onset of new life." Jack blinked, caught off guard. "Wait, are you saying they might be pregnant?" Lyra nodded, her face both curious and cautious. "Yes, this is unusual. Such a connection between our people and yours was not expected." She studied them both intently. "The village believes this might be a powerful sign." Marcus let out a low whistle, struggling to process what he'd just heard. "So, you're saying that somehow, because of us being here, this happened?" Lyra nodded thoughtfully, her gaze unwavering. "It seems so. We are unsure, but the signs are strong." Jack felt his mind race, searching for an explanation. "But this doesn't make sense. We haven't done anything." He stopped, glancing at Marcus. "I mean, nothing that would cause this. Is it possible this is some kind of natural phenomenon among your people?" Lyra shook her head. "No, this is new for us too. Our elders believe your presence may have caused this change. A blending, they call it, a joining of two worlds in a way we did not foresee." Marcus took a deep breath, trying to wrap his head around it all. "So what happens now? I mean, is this something the village is okay with?" Lyra looked at them both with a calm, assessing expression. "The village respects the signs. We believe this is a sacred occurrence, though unexpected. There is no anger, only curiosity." Jack rubbed the back of his neck, the reality of the situation settling in. "Well, if this is happening, we'll do everything we can to support your people. I mean, we didn't come here to disrupt things, but if we're responsible, then we're here for you." Marcus nodded, echoing Jack's words. "Right? Whatever we can do to help, just let us know." Lyra's gaze softened, a hint of gratitude in her eyes. "You are both honorable. This is why the village has accepted you. We will watch and see what grows from this union." As they walked back to the village, Jack and Marcus couldn't help but feel the weight of their presence on this alien world. It was an unexpected responsibility, but one they both knew they would bear with respect. "This changes things," Marcus murmured, glancing at Jack as they reached the village. "Yeah," Jack replied quietly, nodding. "But maybe it's a beginning of something none of us fully understand yet." They shared a silent understanding, both men accepting that they were now part of something far bigger than they'd ever anticipated. The days that followed were filled with quiet anticipation. Jack and Marcus continued their daily work in the village, but there was a new sense of purpose in every interaction, a shared awareness of something extraordinary unfolding. The Nari treated them with even greater warmth, their curiosity and respect apparent in every gesture and conversation. One evening, Lyra invited Jack and Marcus to a gathering with the village elders. The fire crackled warmly as they took their places among the circle of elders, who regarded them with expressions of deep thought and quiet reverence. "Jack, Marcus," Lyra began, "the elders have spent much time discussing the recent events. They believe it is time we speak openly of what this means for our people. And for you, Jack glanced at Marcus, who nodded for him to respond. We're listening, Lyra. We want to understand as much as we can. One of the elder men, his face lined with age and wisdom, leaned forward. You have brought a change we have not seen in many generations. Our ancestors spoke of visitors from the stars, of life joining in ways that bring strength to both. We believe you are a part of this old prophecy. Marcus raised an eyebrow, a mix of surprise and intrigue on his face. A prophecy? What did it say? The elder woman beside him, her voice soft yet filled with conviction, explained. It is said that when the stars align and visitors from beyond the sky arrive, they will bring new life and new paths. It speaks of the blending of knowledge and spirit, of building something neither side can achieve alone. Jack processed this, feeling the weight of their words. So, you believe our arrival and what's happening now with the village is part of this prophecy? Lyra nodded, her gaze steady. Yes, we do not think this is random or accidental. It feels chosen in a way. You have shared in our ways, learned our customs, and respected our people. This, we believe, is why the stars allowed such a union. Marcus let out a breath, still trying to absorb it all. We didn't expect anything like this, but if it's happening, we're here to be a part of it. The elder man nodded approvingly. This is good, but there is more you must understand. With new life comes new responsibilities. The children that will come from this, half Nari, half human, will carry knowledge of both worlds. Lyra turned her focus to Jack, her eyes earnest. These children, they will need both sides to grow strong. You and Marcus must stay. Teach them. Share what you know. Jack felt a rush of emotions, a strange blend of pride, responsibility, and a growing sense of belonging. If we're needed here, then we're here to stay, he replied firmly, looking to Marcus, who nodded in agreement. Yes, Marcus added, his voice filled with determination. We'll be here for them, whatever they need. This is as much our home now as it is yours. Lyra smiled, a genuine warmth lighting her features. Then we are family. We share the future together. The elders murmured in approval, and one of them raised a ceremonial cup filled with a fragrant liquid. To the blending of worlds, he declared, passing the cup around the circle. Each took a sip in turn, solidifying their commitment to the path ahead. As Jack drank from the cup, he looked around the circle, feeling a bond with these people that he hadn't felt anywhere else in the universe. They were not just fellow beings. They were kin, linked by fate and choice alike. The gathering ended with quiet exchanges and solemn vows. As he and Marcus made their way back to their dwelling, Jack felt a deep sense of purpose settle within him. This is bigger than anything I could have imagined, Jack murmured, looking up at the sky filled with unfamiliar stars. Marcus nodded, his expression a mix of awe and resolve. Yeah, but maybe this is exactly where we were meant to be. They shared a silent understanding as they looked out over the village, knowing that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, as part of something larger than themselves. Days turned into weeks, and life in the village adjusted to the new reality. The Nari women who had felt the mysterious changes continued to carry the signs of new life, and there was a tangible sense of anticipation as everyone prepared for what this meant for their community. Jack and Marcus found themselves more deeply embedded in village life than they'd ever expected, sharing their knowledge, lending their strength, and learning in equal measure. One afternoon, as Jack was working with some of the Nari to build a new structure near the village center, Marcus walked over, wiping sweat from his brow. "Did you ever think we'd be here, doing this?" Marcus asked, a grin on his face as he looked around the bustling village. Jack laughed, resting his hands on his knees. "Not in a million years. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. This feels right." Just then, Lyra approached, her expression warm as she took in the sight of the men working alongside her people. "The village is grateful for all you've done. You've brought new strength, new spirit." Jack nodded, feeling humbled. "We've received just as much in return, Lyra. Being here has changed us too." Marcus nodded in agreement. "It's given us purpose, not just as visitors, but as part of something bigger." Lyra's gaze softened as she looked between them. Tonight, we will hold a ceremony to welcome this new future. You both will be honored as members of our people, as family. Jack and Marcus exchanged a look of surprise and gratitude. The bond they had built with the Nari had gone deeper than either of them could have anticipated. They were no longer just visitors, they were kin. As evening fell, the village gathered under the stars, torches casting a warm glow over the clearing. The Nari stood in a circle, with Jack and Marcus in the center beside Lyra and the elders. Drums began to beat in a steady rhythm, filling the air with a pulse that matched the beating of Jack's heart. Lyra raised her hands, calling for silence. Tonight, we welcome Jack and Marcus as brothers. They have shared our ways, shown respect for our people, and embraced the gift of new life. Together, we look forward to a future where our worlds are joined, side by side. An elder stepped forward, presenting each of them with a woven band made from the fibers of local plants, dyed with vibrant colors that held deep meaning within Nari culture. Jack and Marcus each took their bands, slipping them onto their wrists as symbols of their new connection to the Nari. "This is our way of saying that you belong here," the elder said, his voice steady and full of respect. "Wherever you came from, this is your home now." Jack's voice caught in his throat, but he managed a nod of gratitude. "Thank you. We're honored to be a part of this." Marcus placed a hand on Jack's shoulder, his usual easygoing expression softened by the gravity of the moment. "We found something here we didn't even know we were looking for." As the ceremony continued, the villagers shared stories, laughter, and quiet moments, solidifying the bonds that had formed. Lyra led the way, guiding Jack and Marcus into the traditions of the Nari, teaching them songs and customs that had been passed down through generations. When the night drew to a close, Jack and Marcus stood at the edge of the village, looking up at the stars. The weight of the ceremony, of all that had happened, settled into them with a sense of peace. "Do you ever think about Earth?" Marcus asked, breaking the silence. Jack thought about it, a soft smile tugging at his lips. "Sometimes, but I don't feel the pull to go back. Not anymore. This place, it feels like we're building something here, something real." Marcus nodded, his gaze steady on the stars. "Yeah, and I think it's just the beginning." They stood there together, two men who had traveled from a distant world, now part of a new life, woven into the fabric of a culture that had accepted them fully. The challenges ahead were unknown, but they faced them with a quiet confidence, knowing they were no longer alone. As the dawn approached, Jack looked over at his friend, his brother in this strange new world. "Ready to start again tomorrow?" Marcus laughed, clapping him on the back. "Wouldn't miss it." And with that, they turned back toward the village, ready to face whatever the future held, side by side with their new family.